Sure. So, hello everyone, and we are very sorry for the inconvenience caused. We have with us Mr. Tanish Agarwal, who is the full stack web developer, and he's a project lead at SmileyCon. And he's expertise in MERN stack, CI/CD, with a history in software development, writing clean and efficient code. And he has even worked with various product-based startups and also a public speaker who has worked for a platform which is based in Japan. So Tanish Agrawal and Mr. Saurav Patel, who is the CTO of Vajre India Technologies, will be guiding you to learn the modern ways to build on the web by using ReactJs, which is used by tech giants such as Facebook, Netflix, etc., and upgrade your front-end skills. So Tanish, we can start over with the session.
Okay. Thank you, Saurav and Ramni, for having me here today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this workshop on modern web development with React. As Ramni already told you about me, so there's no need for reintroductions. And I'd like to add my other hobbies apart from full stack developer is watching anime and playing sports. So let's get started with this workshop. Today, we are going to learn what React is, how it works, what it brings to the table, its popularity, career, and job opportunities. And for the cherry on the top, we're going to make a project at the end to get you all started with React. And in the end, during during the workshop or in the end, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section, and we'll get to your queries. So, what is React? Here, let me pull up their official website. So, it says React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. So, it is the most popular JS library used for building interactive and fast interfaces. And if you don't already know, React is developed by Facebook. That's right, the social platform also developed this library called React. That's why it's most used and popular among developers. And since it's developed by Facebook, they are constantly updating it with all the new features and have a huge community of developers. That means if you ever get stuck or you need any help, you don't need to be struggling or looking for how to get things done with React. Okay, so let me set this aside. So, as I told you, React is a library developed by Facebook and extremely popular among developers. It's a library, so it's basically you are in control of the flow of your code. It doesn't get in your way and just dictates what minimum it needs to do to get your user interface working. So you can integrate it with other third-party softwares and libraries and make really beautiful and fast websites. And to name a few popular companies that are using React, here are Airbnb, Facebook, Netflix, Discord, Pinterest, Skype, Dropbox, Instagram, Uber Eats. There are companies in itself and they don't need introduction. And as you know, their first priority is user experience, providing user with the best service. So, and since they are using React, you might see how fast and efficient and really popular React is. So let me show you the graph how popular React is. So as you can see on the left, it is a graph showing what developers want to know in the future or want to keep using. So 68.9% of the developers want to keep using React or are wanting to learn React in the future. And on the right, you can see percentage of developer interested in developing with the React. So as you can see, React also tops this chart with 21.5% developers interested with developing with it. And on the next slide, you can see the graph showing number of questions asked on Stack Overflow regarding React. So Stack, if you don't know, Stack Overflow is um, That's a website for developers in which questions on different technologies are asked. So if a developer gets stuck, you can go on the Stack Overflow and ask questions, and you can get answers from other developers. It's really a handy website if you get stuck or you need help. Um, I've been told that my voice is not clear. Can everybody confirm if my voice is clear or not? Let me know in the comment section. Okay, let me see what I can do. Is it better now? Okay, great. So let's continue. So on the next slide, it shows which framework do employers need versus developer that knows that framework. So as you can see on the third number, React, more than 35% of the developer, more than 35% of the employers want React because React is picked up by a lot of startups right now. And so the employers that needs developers with front-end skill with React are in huge demand. And the developers who know React are in a less supply. So the demand is great, but the supply is really low. So React is really in a high demand. So that's also therefore there's a lot of career opportunity in React. And to give you a fair estimate of the average salary a React developer can make in India is for a starting salary, a React developer can make anywhere from a minimum of 4 lakh with less than 1 year of experience, and with 1 to 4 of years of experience, a React developer can make more than 5,50,000 rupees. And as a senior developer with more than 6 years, it can go to till 13 lakhs. So you can see React has a really good scope. And and the salary depends based on the location in India. And as you know, Hyderabad and Bangalore are the Silicon Valley of India, and a lot of startups are being started there. So therefore, Hyderabad and Bangalore provides more salary as compared to other places like Mumbai and New Delhi. So as I told you, as I've showed you how popular React is, so you might be wondering, why use React? What's so good about that, right? So let me show you. The key features or concepts of React are it's easy to use. It's really easy to use. It's open source. So Facebook, as I told you, Facebook has developed it, but it's open source. So you can, let me show you its GitHub repository. So this is the GitHub repository of React. So it's the code is completely public. You can fork and download the code, make some changes, and if you think there's a feature that needs to be added to React, you can add a pull request to its repository, and the developers at Facebook will review it. And if you are lucky or you really added a great feature, you can your feature will get added in the React library. So it's open source. It's developed by various developers. And the main thing about React is it's component based architecture. So let's talk about components. So as you can see, this is a simple to do application, to do app. So in a to do app, the main parts are entering a to do, so searching or adding a to do, right? The list of to dos that you want to do and a single to do. So all of these can be divided in the individual components. So that's where the component based architecture came from. So uh, so you can abstract the functionality of different components into their independent component, and they can have their own state, their own CSS properties, and based on that they can update or change and therefore render the whole view. So most of these terms might be going over your head, so don't worry, we'll be building our project, so at that time you will come to know how what I'm talking about and what React is. So for now, basically know that logic can be divided, so it's modular. So logic can be divided into different components, and we can use it to separate our code and make it really modular and readable. Um, and those components which you divide are reusable. So as I told you, the components can have their own properties, their own styling, so they can be divided. So let's say you make a UI library with a nav bar, a button, a slider, and a spinner. So you can have you can pull those components and add into their different apps or components, and they're really easy to integrate because since they are common, they a little of code changes required to really integrate it with different components. Any questions till now? Are you okay? So next thing is virtual DOM. This is really a groundbreaking term in React, where it shines. And due to this, this is how React is able to come up with efficient code and make your code base really fast, make your basically web application really fast. So to explain virtual DOM first, I'll have to I'll have to explain what DOM is. So if you have ever worked with HTML, so how the tags are structured are they are converted to a tree. So the root node is HTML and its child are head and body, and inside body there are different tags which you use. So we have a question, how much JavaScript we should know before to start React. So to answer this, I would say you really need to know basics of JavaScript like functions, variables, its concepts like hosting and all. I will not say closures, ES6 syntax. So ECMAScript is the body governing React, and it comes with and it releases new features. So in 2015, it releases some features. So they are called ES6 because ECMAScript version 6, and it contains new features. So basic ES6 features and basic JavaScript context. So you really need to know JavaScript to get started with React, at least the basics. Loops, functions, variables, hosting, closures. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, so as I said, DOM. So the elements are structured in a tree, and it's stored as object properties. So we have a object called window, and in there we have properties like we have nodes as properties and its values as its child components. So what React does is it has a virtual DOM. What virtual DOM is, it is the copy of the original browser DOM. So DOM stands for Document Object Model. So React updates the virtual DOM, so the copy of the real DOM, and it processes it, it applies the changes in it, and whenever there is a difference, it just pastes the virtual DOM on the real DOM. So as you can see, for the first two states in the virtual DOM, the real DOM doesn't get updated. And when the updation finishes, the virtual DOM is copied to the browser DOM. So all the logic where the data is to be processed and transformed into a desirable interface, the DOM doesn't get updated, but the virtual DOM does, and then it's copied to the real DOM. So that's how it makes it fast. So here's the process explaining how it does. So we write JSX files on, as you can see on the top left corner, we write JSX files. JSX stands for extended JavaScript. So it's a feature in React where you can write JavaScript inside HTML or vice versa, HTML inside JavaScript files. And it uses a JSX transformer, basically called Babel. So it transforms those JSX files to pure JavaScript files because the browser cannot understand JSX. So first, it is converted into JavaScript files and a React runtime library to process that code. So that JavaScript files are connected to the virtual DOM. So it updates on the virtual DOM, processes all the information, all the data, all the functions we need to call and implement to change the data. It optimizes it and minimizes the updates, and then copies all the changes to the browser DOM. And when we have to change the interface, so on an event or status change, so like when a user clicks on certain element or a user enters something in a input bar, so those are events which are captured from the real DOM, so from the browser DOM, and they get transferred to the virtual DOM, sent to the JavaScript files and React library. They processes the data. Changes are made in virtual DOM, and then the browser DOM is updated. So that's how React works. Another key concept of React is one-way data flow. So that's a really handy thing because the data flows in one direction. So we are able to control which data is where, and there's no confusion that which data is coming from where. So as I said, there's a root component and it has child components. And that child component can have more child components. So let's say I want to pass something from component A to component B, and from component B to component C. And so what I'll have to do is from the top component, I'll have to pass it to the component B, and then the component B will pass it to the component C. That's how one-way data flow works. So data flows from top to bottom, and it cannot be reversed. What can be reversed is events. So whenever you click on child components, the event bubbles up and can be rendered on the parent component. As I said earlier, React uses JSX. It's a way of writing HTML inside JavaScript files. So let me show you how this works. So this is a JavaScript file, and a render is a predefined method in React. So whatever you return from render is implemented as HTML code. And as you know, earlier there was no way to write it JavaScript inside HTML. So what if you have made applications, you will know that earlier we had to like connect the JavaScript file to the HTML file and then get those methods on document body to select those elements and then perform operations. But with this, JSX made it really easy to connect JavaScript and HTML. So as you can see on the red arrows, these are HTML elements, but there's JavaScript written inside it, and that's because of JSX. So as you can see, source equals to logo, and it's wrapped with curly braces. This curly braces are required because it tells the JavaScript compiler, as I said in this React JSX transformer, as you can see on the left. So React JSX transformer sees these curly braces inside HTML, and they know, okay, so there's JavaScript. So logo is processed as a variable, and whatever the value the logo variable holds is then converted and passed into source attribute for the image tag. So that's how image tag is able to render images. And same here. So between the B tag, we have name enclosed with curly braces. And name, since name is a variable, it can hold any value. When whenever the React transpiler sees it, it processes it, gets the value stored in the name, and then pass it into the HTML. Lifecycle methods, another key concept of React. So a React application goes through many phases. So first is the render phase. So when the all the React code is being converted into HTML. So during this phase, it's independent of the document object models, the DOM. And as I showed you, this render function is a lifecycle method which takes HTML and JavaScript code and convert it into pure HTML to be rendered on on the DOM or on the browser, as you can say. A pre-commit phase is getting the snapshot of the DOM, and commit phase is when all the process is done and you want to render your application onto the browser. So we'll see it when we are making the projects. So these were used earlier, and as the React ecosystem developed and grew, class components became obsolete, and now we use functional components which use hooks. So the previous lifecycle methods are now converted into hooks, and we'll see how this works in our project. So let's get started with our project. This is all you need to know for the basics of how React works. And now we'll make project. So I'll paste, just a second. So in the comment section, I have pasted a link which contains link to a code sandbox. You may open that. You may open that code sandbox, and has everyone opened that code sandbox? Okay, so why I'm telling you to work on this sandbox is because um, a lot of you might not have Node installed on your computer and might take some time to set up your whole environment. But Let me show you if you want to set up React environment on your system. What you can do is you can type in Node on Google and download Node for your system. I have Linux, that's why I can't show you for Windows, and most of you might be having Windows. So what you have to do is download Node and install it. And once you are done installing it, you can open your terminal by going to your start menu, opening command prompt and typing Node V. So by typing Node V, you'll get the version of the node installed on your system. That's how you can see that node has been installed. And to create a basic template of a React app, what you can do is you can simply type npx. So npx is a tool that comes with Node, and then create React app is a repository on npm. And when you say npx, it downloads this repository on the npm, and then executes it and make a starting template. So I'll show you what it does is, and after CRA you can specify the folder where you want to create this starting template. It will take some time to download and create a template, so we'll get started on the code sandbox. So as you can see, you can on the top you can see fork, and you can click on fork and fork this sandbox because you won't be able to make changes in this. Have everyone forked the sandbox? Let me show you the glimpse of the application we are going to make. So this is a simple movie searching app. What you can do is you can use this application to search for different movies. Let's say uh, you can type in any movies in the top in the search bar, and you get movies. And if you hover over the cards, you can see the description of the movie. So it's a simple movie searching application, and what it uses is it's the um, the movie database API. So the movie database is just like IMDb. So you might have heard about IMDb. It's the world largest movie database platform, but it doesn't provide its API. So there's another platform like that, the movie database. It's also similar to IMDb, where it provides the functionality to search for movies and its ratings and all. And it also exposes its APIs. So if we want to search for any movies, we can use its API. So that's what we are using today. If you want to learn more about this, you can go to this website. I'll paste the link to this website in the comment section, so later you can go on and read more about this. So let's get started with our application. So when you open the sandbox and have forked it, you will see in the browser where it shows the preview of your application, Hello World. So congrats, you have written your Hello World in React. So let's get started with making a full application. So as I told you, React uses a component-based architecture. So